Alright, a load of you did go and sign up for my Marketech channel to see the sales on the Steam page that I never put out. That video is going live tonight, so apologies it took so long. My Steam sales video is happening. There's links to Marketech down in the description. Alright, there are some cracking sales on the eShop as ever. We're going to have a look at some of the new ones, some of the lowest ever. If you want the most obvious ones, just switch your switch on and go to that front page. I really do try and dig down and find the little gems. Alright, what are the best games on sale? Well, my name's Mark Walker. Welcome to Switch Up. Now let's find out. First up, we've got the sponsor game. I actually did a video for this the other day. It's called Bearnard. It launches with a 20% discount until May the 23rd, but there's also an owner's discount that will drop the base price by 50% if you own one of the Untold Tales games that you can see on the screen now, or one of the Cubic games that you can also see, and I'll pop all that in the description. But Bearnard is a solo indie developer from Poland who has worked to create this lovely little hybrid. On the one hand, it's like a side-on platformer using a physics-based bow, and then it switches to a combat system that's turn-based but also using real-time skill in that you have to aim the bow. You've got loads of different arrow types that you can fight, like different elements that have synergies, and there are cards as well that you pick up. I was really impressed by the work that one indie dev has created here, and it's so much fun. Go check out our full dedicated video, but like I say, a thanks to Untold Tales for sponsoring this episode with their new game Bearnard. It's really nice to see Animal World finally get a decent sale. It's 25% off, down to £15.74 until May the 22nd. That is its cheapest ever price. Now, Animal World was the first game, I believe, published by Video Game Donkey, is that correct? With his studio Big Mode. But it was developed by, I think, a single developer again, who's created this lovely Metroidvania. It's one of those where different things that you try just seem to work. So it won't always be clear, it's quite non-linear, and there's a decent amount of content that takes place after the credits roll for the first time. It's got a really nice audio-visual design, very low-key, but still manages to cram in tons of details. Animal World's a really nice game. If you've not tried it or not considered it, I highly recommend it. 25% off until May the 22nd, and just an 84 megabyte download. Following on from that, we've got Wild Bastards, which is down 60% to £11.19. That's its lowest ever price until May the 17th. They took things in a very different direction. If you played the original Void Bastards, that was like a roguelite where you were on a ship and you got to choose where you went to next. This one, you go down to planets, you choose one of 13 outlaws and you unlock new outlaws throughout the game. And then it takes place in a first-person perspective, but still follows that roguelite formula of having to balance things like your health, your ammunition, the types of weapons you use, and you'll find yourself being hunted as well by teams of bounty hunters. The interesting aspects, other than the combat itself, are trying to manage your team, building up the relationships between them, and then leveling them up. And they added in a challenge mode, so when you complete the main campaign, there's more content to go back for. It's actually really good, this one. I think it's a bit underrated. I must admit it took a while for me to get into it, but I think it's well worth this price. That's Wild Bastards, 60% off until May the 17th.
Judgment time! Bastards bled on my duster.
Dead by Daylight is one of those games that is just still going strong despite not being in the public eye too often. There are entire channels dedicated to this. There used to be a guy that would help me out with my sound and stuff because I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I mean, I still don't really have a clue what I'm doing, but he'd take my audio and fix it up. And I know he has a channel that's completely dedicated to this game alone. It's had a load of new content added in. It's basically like an online game where you have your survivors and then your killer. And depending on which of those classes you play, your experience is very different. You can team up with other survivors to work together to try and survive, or you can try and go it alone, and there are different classes that will change your ability to do that. Quite a unique one really. There aren't many games like this on Switch. It's matching its cheapest. It's £10.49, 60% off until May the 17th, and it's a 21 gig download. What a beast. If ever there was a polar opposite game back to back, then it's Fae Farm. In the EU regions, this one's 40% off, down to 22 quid or thereabouts. I did a video on this. I guess you could call it like a cozy farming sim, but there's a little bit more to it than that. And it does feature online play as well. There's the old classics, like you can head down the mines, collect different gems and things, and then sell those. It had this market square, so you can sell all your produce within that. It's quite polished, this. I think one of the things you might not expect is how fluid the movement is. So the way you traverse and move around the world, you're like bouncing all over the shop. Usually in these farm sims, you're like lethargically wandering around as if you'd lost your fishing net. But that's not the case here, you're just boinging all over the shop. Now, Fae Farm is not going to be for everyone. If you like games like Palia, then I think this will appeal to you. Stardew Valley, obviously, but it is still a little bit dear. I think 22 quid is much more reasonable than its base price, which was just a bit too OP. Now a couple that are very reasonably priced, absolute bargains. We've got Arcade Paradise, 69% off, matches its cheapest, down to £4.95. This combines like a 90s arcade game with a management sim. So you get to choose different arcade cabinets to install. If you choose the right ones, players are going to obviously spend more money. But as well as that, you can actually play them. So there's 35 fully playable arcade games. I actually bought this one off the back of Switch Corner's review because I thought it looks interesting, but I wasn't really sure how it would work. I didn't realize the management things were in there until I saw his video, and I was like, wow, that's such a cool idea, and still having the games playable as well, going for those high scores. Yeah, very cool. There's also a load of DLC, so to support the devs, I guess, you can buy more arcade machine packs that cover loads of different genres. A really clever idea. Yeah, I like this one a lot, certainly for that price as well. Cracking game. The sale for Arcade Paradise goes on until May the 22nd.
Feel like a kid again!
Following on from there, you've got Deliver Us the Moon, exactly the same price, £4.95, 69% off until May the 22nd. The story goes that basically we're generating our power on the moon. Suddenly the power's gone out. You get sent up to investigate what's going on. Quite unnerving atmosphere. You've got a massive place to explore, obviously. It's the moon, but then it confines you. So it does that thing where you have space and then you're confined, and it flips back between that, which gives it an unusual sense of scale and place that works really well. There's some really clever puzzles in there as well. The visuals are okay. Like, this is Switch 1, Unreal Engine 4, so you kind of know what to expect. As a self-proclaimed space nerd, Deliver Us the Moon is my kind of bargain. 69% off until May the 22nd. Now we've got choices now, choices. The Hammerwatch Anniversary Collection is 75% off until May the 17th, taking it to £3.66. I love this. This was one of the earliest and best roguelites, and it still holds up. You can play this with up to 4 players. There is a sequel, Hammerwatch 2 is also on sale, so you've got that choice as well. We'll put Hammerwatch 2 as, the prices and stuff, because I think most people probably veer towards the later game. But they're both great choices. For about 4 quid, you're getting about 20 to 30 hours of content. It's worth noting that it's not local multiplayer on Hammerwatch 2, so if that's an issue for you, then yeah, that's something to consider. And a bit of a shame really, because the original Hammerwatch was local multiplayer, and maybe that's why I preferred it. Still, really good prices across the board on the Hammerwatch series, and there's even a bundle pack in the EU regions, so maybe check that one out as well. Doomsday Hunters, I love this. This was probably one of my favourites since Hades came out. Like, Hades set a bar for roguelites that I think, in fairness, Dead Cells set a bar, didn't it? Dead Cells was the one, and it may still be the one. And then Hades, everyone went absolutely bonkers about it. But actually, when I go back, I'm like, which do I prefer? Well, neither of them. is The Binding of Isaac, but that's beside the point. Doomsday Hunters came along and no one really paid it a huge amount of attention. It's really nice, and to see the developers keep adding new content to it quietly, you know, they're not up in your face going, I don't get like 1,000 emails. I think I had one. They were like, oh, by the way, we've added in a load of more content for free if you want to say something about it. And then when I did my all patched up around the time, I was like, hey, consider this one. But that one's 61% off at the moment until May the 11th. It's £5.81. I know they're quite a small team as well. Yeah, really good meta progression. Just a fun game to play. Go check out my review if you're interested in finding out a little bit more. But Doomsday Hunters, yes please. Absolute barjan. Now, I thought I'd put a game in that I've watched my kids play and questioned them about their sanity. It's Powerwash Simulator. Now, I watched this and thought, why on earth would you do that? Like, why would you just get a virtual power wash and clean things? And then I played it. And just like in real life, like once you get going, just seeing stuff get cleaned, there is a strange addictive quality to this game that is, well, it's difficult to articulate. You can't. You play it and you're like, all right, yeah, I'm cleaning things, this is fine. And then an hour goes past and you're like, hang on, I've just got to get that last bit of dirt. 1 second. And it has these different themes as well. So it takes known modern games and puts those into it as well. It shouldn't be as fun as it is, but it is. So it's in the list, and I think it's its cheapest ever price at 30% off until May the 20th. I'm sure there's some people in the comments that can vouch for this. The most bizarre concept for a game ever. And then we have a hidden gem with Brock the Investigator. This one's down to 60%. That's its cheapest until May the 17th, taking it to £8.79. It's set within what it describes as a light cyberpunk world where animals have replaced humans and the citizens live under a protective dome because of the air pollution. And you play as a private detective who's a former boxer called Brock who lives with someone called Graf. And it's a bit like an old point and click adventure game, really. But here's the thing, and it makes a big difference. The whole thing's fully voice acted. I think there's like 23,000 lines of dialogue in here. You got those 2 different playable characters that you can switch between at any time. The puzzles are well designed. There are fights, but you can skip them if you don't want to do that side. And here's another strange thing that you never see in this type of game. It features local co-op. So up to 4 of you can like play the adventure together, which, yeah, as I say, you just don't get. But is really cool if you want to introduce someone to adventure games for the first time. Brock is 2.3 gigs to download, very well loved by those that have played it, and about 15 all the way up to potentially 30 hours of content. The sale for Brock the Investigator goes on until May the 17th. It's 60% off.
But at the end of the road,
You've saved me. You're my hero.
there's hope.
Alright, then we jump into our Savaloy Selection, the games that are less than, well, it's usually less than 3 or 4 quid, about the price you pay for a Savaloy, or a Fedcook, or your other cheap delicacy from your local area, which I think lots have been shared over the years. Has anyone ever gone and tried something because of this section? Like, have you ever got out and gone, right, alright, I'm going to find out what this Savaloy tastes like? I must know. It just interests me. Because I did. It's the only reason I tried a currywurst when I went to Germany, and it was delicious. First up, we've got Teslagrad 2, 90% off, down to £1.67. This is a ludicrous price. That's crazy. It's a bit Metroidvania, a bit like real-time platform. The world opens up, you fight bosses, but you're not using traditional combat. You have to use your wits. For just over £1, that's absolutely a no-brainer. Easy pickup choice. Chris Tale as well for a JRPG, 91% off, down to £3.49. When I reviewed this, I enjoyed it, despite the fact that when you go into the random combat instances, the load time is just a wee bit too long. I can put up with that when I'm paying 90% less than I would be normally. And a nice side perspective shmup. We've got Andro Junos 2, 90% off, £1.79. Another one I hadn't heard of, but for £1, I'm happy to pick up a fun little shmup. and I enjoyed that one a lot. So there we have it. Let me know in the comments. What are you playing? What are you buying? Have you managed to find a little gem in here? Or have you got away with it absolutely unscathed? Do buy your eShop credit over at switchup.gg if you want to get 5% in cash back. You don't do anything other than buy your credit and then it's there waiting for you for the next time. Thank you to our Patreons, our members, all of you that enjoy the content. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep your Switch up. Cheers guys. See ya!